It's dessert.
It's dessert.
It's like, and everybody's already toasted. It's like, oh my God, this is heaven.
It's actually pretty good. It's just sweet. It's just really sweet.
Right, but the sweeter ones, to me, if you drink them early in the day, are cloying.
Yeah.
If you drink them late at night after you've had a few other drinks, are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the flight. You start off dry and work to sweet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were arranging the little 1 ounce bottles. Hamish brought, for those that don't know, Hamish brought a 15 bottle spread from Thistle Meadery in North Australia?
South Australia. And
Thistle Meadery, she had 15 different meads, and she did, and it's the coolest marketing thing ever. She did little 1 ounce bottles and then packaged them up as like a little strip of meads, in little 1 ounce bottles. She had 15 ounces of mead in little 1 ounce stuff. It was the coolest thing ever. And they're in
like essential oil bottles, that you might get to use for your oil burner.
Yeah.
Oh my. Wow.
And it was really cool, and she marked them all. And so we arranged them in the order we wanted to drink them, and then we did like 5 meads a night after dinner for the first 2 nights. And we meant to get to the last 5 and never did. So the last 5 are going to happen when we interview Thistle Meadery during Australia Month next month.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but it was just
But 1 ounce. I mean, you'd have to have. I mean, it's like you can't even share that.
Well, yeah, we did. We managed, but what it wasn't for like. It was more like to find out what I really like. So it was basically because she's not making any money doing this. In fact, she may be losing money. But it was like 15 bottles for $15. But think about it. Somebody comes and goes, well, I don't know what I like. Well, here, take one of these home. Come back and buy what you want. So
That's good marketing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting marketing idea, and especially if you're somebody who's come from a long way and maybe you don't have the opportunity or whatever to do a full spread of tastings, and when there's 15 meads, that could get ugly. You're gonna get palate fatigue before the end of 15 meads in a regular tasting spread at a tasting room. So I thought it was a brilliant idea, and we had a lot of fun tasting them, and they were really good. Oh my gosh, they were really good. And all of them were with this. Bob, you'll appreciate this as a beekeeper. Well, actually, Susan will too, since she uses honey. But the honey that she used for this was the same honey in every mead, but it had all these amazing different notes in it. It was such a complex honey that. And it's an Australian honey, so I have no reference points to work from. All I knew is that it was really awesome, And we started with the traditionals, so we got a good sense of the honey, characteristics before we started going into the piments and the methylanes and the melomels and, and so forth and so on. But it was really cool to be able to, get a sense of a totally, to me at least, alien honey that I didn't have any reference points for at all.
Well, that would be cool.
It was cool. So now I got to find out. Cool. We're trying to figure out what that honey is, and then we're trying to figure out if we can get enough people together to do like a container buy. Just ship a container over. So I figure I could probably come up with enough people to do that between home and commercial mead makers. But the question is whether or not whoever it is that produces the honey can actually produce a container full of it. So yeah, that's it. We talked about that quite a lot when we were tasting it. It's like, oh my God, where do we get this? Oh, we got Manny's having internet problems. We're gonna go ahead and add him to the call. He was having issues.
Needs a magazine rack for his issues.
Yeah. Oh, we saw the TARDIS. It's a really neat garage. He's got all fixed up. And what's he got up over the garage door there, Haim? Hey, Manny.
Hello. Hey.
You made it. We were just talking about the TARDIS. So tell us what all the gear you had in there was. This is so cool.
Okay. It started out as obviously just a simple garage. And I decided that I would make it into a sort of brew house and tap room for my house. So I was lucky enough to come across a glycol system for serving beer. with 6 taps. So we've got upstairs the glycol pump, like upstairs being the loft.
It's in the
There's a
ceiling.
glycol pump. Yeah, there's a glycol pump up there that keeps the lines cool, so that the kegs, which are in the 2 freezers, up to 6 kegs fit in the 2 freezers. There's about 30 feet of line going from the kegs to the serving taps,
Which is on the other side of the room.
Which is on the other side of the room, right? But eventually, we'll go all the way to the backyard because it could be up to 150 feet, I think, of line. Yeah. Next to the glycol pump is the nitrogen tank and the carbon dioxide tank, which go into a gas mixer, so that I have the correct mix of gas for both regular beer and stout. So, the stout needs, I think it's maybe it's 40-60 nitrogen to CO2, and regular is 75-25. Then, obviously, that means that my lifelong dream was realized when I have a keg of Guinness. Like a keg.
A keg. He has a keg of Guinness, yeah.
You have a keg of Guinness.
Uh-huh.
With a tap.
That was his birthday.
It was a spectacular head.
Yeah, it did cause a spectacular
it's supposed to make
head,
a head a mouse can walk across, so yeah.
Pretty much. It was a head a mouse could walk across and submerge into completely without ever touching the beer.
I remember
Supposed to be able to write your initials in it so you can tell whose is which.
We poured John a Guinness from the TARDIS, and he had no idea, and he's seen it come out, and his eyes have lit up as it's still layering up the way it does, and he's looked at us going, and we said, oh, yeah, he's got a keg downstairs. He's like, oh, God, I've never seen this head off a can. I was thinking, wow, what's he got here?
Yeah. Yeah, he figured he was just going to get a poured can of Guinness, and that was that, and he was going to be happy with that, so he was thrilled beyond measure because he adores his stouts, and,
Yeah, it's fun, and then of course all the brew stuff that everybody else has.
Yeah, well, and if your house ever explodes into flinders like it's on a Chips episode, we'll know why.
Yeah.
It'll be like you'll see it on the link in the movies. It'll go boom, and you'll see nothing but toothpicks, and it's like, oh, Manny's glycol chiller blew up, man.
Yeah, or the still. The water purifier.
Water purifier. Keep the term straight. Water purifier. Yeah.
Manny.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, I missed most of the show because I had no internet.
Yeah, we were wondering what happened to you. You were there and then you disappeared.
Yeah, I'm still. No, as it is, I'm on the iPhone.
Oh, okay. All right, now David Webb is going. Stouts are not usually hop forward. Hop forward stouts. David Webb just posted on the live feed that stouts are not usually hop forward, and it's like hop forward stouts. Okay, yuck. We could ruin a perfectly good stout by trying to turn it into an IPA.
Yeah. No hops in the
there are American stouts,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I fall back to Susan. I fall back to ruin a perfectly good stout by turning it into an IPA. Okay, just say it.
I like hops flavor. I do not like hops bitterness. This is something I have figured out after trying something like 50 different beers.
I'm right there with you. I'm
Still
not an IPA
malt.
fan.
Still better than malt.
Yeah. So.
Amish hates malt.
Yeah. You just don't like beer. Just admit it.
No, it's just the malt part. The rest of it's fine.
All right, hopped melomel for
yeah, actually, I had some hop stuff, and Honeypot actually had at the Mead mixer or something had an orange blossom that was really fantastic, and it tasted like it had been hot, like it had the beer bitter tails that hops give you, and it was really quite mellow and a good session mead. And he tells me that it was just a straight traditional. He hadn't done anything, but he had all this complexity. It tasted exactly like it had been hopped, and I should very much like a hopped mead. Actually, I think that would be great, especially after tasting that.
Okay, so that raises the question of what was the most interesting? No shit, I'm glad I drank that mead that you had. during the events?
For me, it was that one. So.
Okay, Hamish, go first.
For me, it was that one. It was that straight OB that he claimed that that it was after a big dry season and the honey was uniquely different or uncommonly different because it was like after 6 years of drought in California and yeah, that it was definitely that one. It was just a traditional. It was like nothing else I'd ever tasted before, and it was session strength, and it was really quite good.
Nice. Okay, Susan, what about you? What was your most no shit? I'm glad I drank that mead.
All of them.
Oh, well, no, come on, pick out. I'm looking for what was the wow? I didn't know that would work, and that really works kind of mead. Okay.
I was sitting at a table with you, Susan, while you were judging. I was stewarding, and I can tell you that is not true because there was some on that table that you were like, "What am I drinking?"
Yeah,
so not quite all of them.
I have a few of those, but I'm not happy I drank them. But trying to think. I had so many phenomenal meads. It's just like how to pick out the.
No, I would say
something that
there was a ton of great stuff. It's hard to pick down to one or two.
I mean, was there anyone? I mean, I know that there was a lot of really awesome ones, but was there one or maybe a couple that just leapt out at you? I'm looking more for the wow! I didn't know they could do that with mead kind of meads. That this was something I hadn't thought of or something that was unusual that you just weren't expecting.
I don't know. I'd have to think on this more because it's like there were. I mean, I had so many. I have a couple that.
Mead. I drank a lot of mead. That's what I did.
I drank a lot of drink. Yeah. I mean, I remember having some phenomenal ones. But I don't know if it was because it was late at night and it not only was mead flowing, other things were flowing.
They were.
And it was a, wow, I don't know. I got to really think on this one because really there were so many phenomenal meads there. It's just hard to pick out. Wow. I do remember, actually the ones that stood out to me more, and I can't, but I do remember having some really phenomenal session meads that always before I always thought, well, session meads, you're not going to really taste the honey, but I had quite a few of those where I thought, wow, the honey's standing out, they're still light, they're refreshing. And maybe that's because I was, okay, I need something light to drink. But, yeah, trying to pick out one particular mead, though, is really hard. A lot of newer meaderies, actually, that I'd never had. I don't know if they're newer or not. I was excited to try, and I would everything of theirs that I had, I thought was phenomenal.
There was, I think it's Superstition does. Is it Superstition does peanut butter jelly crime, or is that Garage Yeast?
Yeah,
Superstition that does that.
That one.
That jumped out at me just because.
You know what? I just don't. I'm not a fan of peanut butter jelly.
No, so I'm not either. But it was just
out in my mind. But...
It was a well constructed mead, not to my particular taste, mainly because it was grape jelly, and I've never liked grape jelly. But well, at least not since it was well constructed, and what a great combination of flavors to put together, and it really worked. Oh. I'm hoping they do like a raspberry.
It worked. It was very smooth.
I think for me, the one mead that really jumped out to me was Celestial. Who's Your Pappy? It was the raspberry blossom, aged in Pappy Van Winkle barrels.
Yep.
That I didn't have at the mixer. That was at in one of the rooms at a tasting. The mixer, I liked the pineapple chipotle and honey pots. What was it? The vanilla with the cocoa nibs in the rye whiskey barrel.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so that was the same mead I was talking about, but he'd added the cocoa nibs onto the. So I was just talking about the base mead, but yeah, that one was pretty good too.